Natties. Now it's going to be Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift, Gunnar Stockton, the three-man race, and Kirby ain't giving any indications of where this thing's at right off of that.
Yeah, it's like everything. It's like the ebb and flow. I can think of really good things each one did, and I can think of really poor things each one did. Um, so it's like it's not like one guy sticking out. Um, Carson has really good command of the offense. He understands it inside and out. He communicates it. He gets things correct. He had a couple poor decisions and choices today, but he also made some plays. He made some really good throws. He's got really good presence in the pocket to move around. Brock made some plays. He made some plays getting out of the pocket. Made some good throws. He had a couple downfield throws. I think he wish he had back. Give us a chance in some 50-50 situations and keep the ball in bounds with that. But he did a really good job in 2 minutes. And then Gunnar made some plays. Gunnar made some plays with his feet. He's still like the administration of the offense of getting everybody lined up, getting going, getting the call in, which is not all on him, but he's growing and getting better. He made some nice throws. So I'm gonna keep repeating myself, but we got three pretty good quarterbacks, and they've grown each one of them, and they're all three different in their own ways. I don't think the dynamics have changed. I mean, Brock and Carson are both getting reps with the ones. Gunnar got some reps with the twos, predominantly threes, but our threes are in a better state. There's times when you've had your threes, they couldn't function. This three group has, really good skill players in it. We're not used to having this many wide receivers on our three, so he has some good guys to throw to. The offensive line with the threes has some experience, has a couple walk-ons. So it's like it functions so you can evaluate Gunnar better, where there's not always a chance to do that with the threes. But I can't sit and say that the dynamic has changed in any way, shape, or form. I think we'll evaluate this scrimmage and come back in Monday and be able to say, okay, what did they do well or poorly with no coach on the field? It's still a tough evaluation because there's probably 10 plays out there in the scrimmage where I have to say a guy got sacked. Well, did he get sacked or did he not get sacked? Because we didn't tackle him. So, you give the benefit of the doubt to the defensive player that's standing there unblocked, but they actually have to get him on the ground. And until you tackle a guy live, which we're not going to do, it's not going to give you a true evaluation.
They're all great.
All right, Shane. So, no surprise there, but Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift getting rotations with the starters and the backups. But, it's wild that and I got a ton of respect for Gunnar Stockton, the third stringer, the redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
But even a guy running with the threes, by God, we got us one hell of a quarterback room down here. You know what?
Do you feel like it is more of a two-headed monster here? I mean, that's kind of what I felt like. Like, I know Gunnar's involved, and I don't know if you played the clip where he talks about, primarily he ran with the threes, and
Right.
By God, Kirby's so pumped up about the threes. I think them threes probably go 7-5 in the SEC if you let them, if you just cut them loose. So that is kind of scary how pumped up and excited he is about the depth they've got down there in Athens. But I'm just curious, in your opinion, do you feel like this is more of a two-headed monster and maybe Gunnar's just, he's coming along?
Well, what's interesting, Shane, is it's basically don't matter who you talk to. That's the feeling is, man, this is a two-headed race, but don't count out Gunnar. I mean, literally everybody's saying that to the point to where I think this is kind of scripted. And again, this is just me speculating, but I still think that it's Carson Beck and it's his job to lose. And Brock Vandegrift, I'm not trying to say he's a bad player by any means, but I don't think he's going to win this job. Of course, he could have a huge G-Day spring game. He could have a huge summer. He could catch fire in training camp, and certainly they'll give him the job if he earns it. But I still think, based on everything we've heard, no indications that Carson Beck's done anything to lose this job. I think they're just trying to keep everybody engaged. I don't know if you caught it last week, Shane. I played the comments from Sam Pittman, but I just thought it was so fascinating where in the era of the transfer portal, Sam Pittman is sitting here saying we don't even have guys running with the ones. I have to rotate them every time because I don't want anyone thinking they got no shot at hitting the field, because
Yeah.
as soon as these kids do, they're out the door. And last season, boy, could I use some of that depth. So, I mean, these coaches are getting smarter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just talk, honestly. I really do. I could be dead wrong. But if you ask 10 people about the Georgia quarterback competition and they all tell you the exact same thing, I don't know. I feel like that's the messaging coming out of Athens, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think profiles, because they're all heavy hitters, man. When you're looking at recruiting and 24/7 and On Three and all those guys, these are recruits that all teams wanted. And now you got 3 of them on your roster, and I just don't think you can corral them all. I think you lose one at the end, but the way that it feels like it's playing out, that it's going to be one of the 2, and then there comes Gunner. So as long as you got a little competitive depth, and you can, convince somebody like Gunner to stick around and say, "Hey, man, get used to it," because that's what he talked about. Coach is just saying, "Hey, man, he's just having a little trouble getting acclimated, getting these boys lined up." But that's something you get with more trial and error, and you do that in practice and spring games. So, yeah, it's just I'm really interested out of all the quarterback competitions that we have, just how Georgia's plays out, because there's a lot of teams that'd like to have that 2 and 3, on their roster.
Some teams, they got one they can trust. You know what?
Absolutely. We don't even like the one we have, some of them,